The topic of today is one that surely many people were expecting me to touch on for quite some time, and to be honest with you, I had planned this topic a few months ago, but MatPat from the Game Theory channel in English beat me to it by uploading a theory, so I decided to focus on other things. Then I watched his video, and it seemed more like a fanfiction, a story that he came up with, than a real theory. And well, I don't blame him. Minecraft lacks a clear story, right? In fact, we don't even know if it has a real history, only ruins and things like that. That's why I started researching the topic out of curiosity, and honestly, I think I found quite a few points that our imaginative colleague didn't talk about. But since we don't have that much information, and since we also don't want to fall into the game theory error, in today's video we will be a little more methodical, and for this we must start with what we know about the Wither. Our understanding of this creature is not as minimal as it may seem initially, so I will try to provide a summary. The Wither is the second boss mob in Minecraft and can only be spawned by the player using 4 soul sand blocks and 3 Wither skeleton skulls. We know that it is undead, like zombies and skeletons. It is impressively destructive and aggressive, as it generates a violent explosion upon spawning and begins to destroy the terrain and attack anything that crosses its path, except undead mobs. This means that it will not attack any of the nether mobs, but it will attack, for example, endermen, spiders or guardians, as well as any other mob that it encounters on its way. Apart from all that, he has several somewhat strange abilities. First, his attack uses copies of his own head that he shoots from his heads. Second, it can regenerate on its own, and apparently can absorb part of the life force from the foes it damages with its skulls, as when it lands a direct hit, it receives 5 health points. Third, when spawning, a very strange sound can be heard throughout the world. This sound is not generated where the Wither is, but everyone in the world hears it at the same volume no matter where they are. And fourth, in the Bedrock edition, Wither skeletons can spawn. In addition to that, it can generate Wither armor that makes it immune to arrows, it is immune to attacks from other undead, it is immune to fire, lava and drowning damage, and when it dies it drops the mysterious Nether Star. In addition to gameplay, we can observe that its design is rather distinctive. It possesses the 3 heads employed in its construction, but instead of soul sand, it features what seems to be a massive human ribcage, and it is entirely black, similar to Wither skeletons. It can float, something that very few mobs do, and its name is also something strange. Wither translated into Spanish means wither, and in English it is also a word that can mean deterioration, decay or rot. This provides us with a somewhat supernatural image, but it is still not sufficient to begin forming a conclusion. For that we must talk about the blocks used to create the Wither, the soul sand and the Wither skeleton skulls. Let's start with the Arena of Souls. This block can only be found naturally in the Nether, and it is a well-known fact that in its texture we see faces with expressions of suffering, hence its name, Soul Sand. It is clear that this block contains souls that went to hell in the Nether, and in reality this is the reason why you walk slower on the block. The souls cling to your feet and your feet sink by 2 pixels. Even minuscule gatherings like endermites or silverfish will slowly suffocate if you place them on soul sand due to the lack of oxygen. It is employed to cultivate netherwort or abyssal warts in Spanish, the essential item for potion making process. And finally, it is the only block that when you put it underwater, generates an ascending column of bubbles, obviously generated by the souls trapped in the block. The heads of Wither skeletons are slightly more enigmatic because we do not have much information about them. These skeletons exclusively spawn in the Nether and naturally wield a stone sword. However, interestingly, if you spawn them with a bow, they will shoot arrows that are engulfed in flames. Under normal conditions, a Wither skeleton won't pick up a bow from the ground. BTW, when they die they leave bones, coal, and sometimes they release their heads. They are also immune to fire, and when they attack you, they inflict the Wither effect. So it is evident that these are reanimated human skeletons and completely burned, capable of causing their enemies to start rotting when they attack them with the Wither effect. This seems to suggest that this is all that remains of humans who were completely burned by the lava and fire of the Nether, and this in turn would explain something strange. The Wither skeletons are usually found in fortresses, and this suggests that the skeletons could be defending their ancient fortresses. Fortresses that, let's remember, were built and used by humans in the beginning. Currently, the heads specifically do not possess much of anything special, except for a small and insignificant detail. When you destroy a head, the particles that are generated possess the texture of soul sand, indicating that the soul of any mob can be acquired from its head. After this analysis, I believe it is quite clear that the Wither is a gathering of cursed human souls condensed into a monster whose only desire is to destroy all life. That is the reason why the Wither possesses a human ribcage, and that is also the reason why all of its components are, well, souls. Even their attacks are souls. Shoot the heads of the Wither skeletons. In fact, from time to time it can shoot a blue skull, which is more devastating, so it seems to be a particularly strong or powerful soul, or even a shot made of a mixture of other souls. This is how we can explain even the Nether Star, a precious stone left behind after the conglomeration and destruction of numerous human souls in suffering. In reality, all of this has quite strong implications. The Nether Star shares the identical brightness with enchanted items and potions. The primary ingredient for potions is abyssal warts, or netherworth, a strange fungus that exclusively grows in soul sand, absorbing nutrients, energy, or any other essential substances from the souls contained in the sand. Not only is the secret ingredient of potions a mushroom made of souls, but souls also have a connection to enchantments, as indicated by the characteristic glow they emit. Maybe the experience you receive and use to enchant your items has to do with the souls of the mobs, or maybe the enchantments have something strange we haven't figured out. I don't know. And although all that explains a lot, we still need to discuss the withered roses. When the Wither kills any mob, this mob drops a wither rose. If possible, the rose remains placed in the block where the mob dies. If the rose cannot be placed there, then the flower is dropped as an item. This is not a common flower. It is the only flower that you cannot sell to the wandering merchant, and applying bone meal does not make more roses grow around it. It is the only flower that can be planted on netherrack and soul sand, and when a mob touches the rose, it is inflicted with the wither effect. Temporarily, it can be used to create black dye, and also as one of the ingredients of the mysterious soup that causes the wither effect for 8S. It is not clear why the wither causes these flowers to generate, but although they are clearly very strange and supernatural flowers, they do not seem to contain the soul of the mob from which they come out. The meaning of it is a mystery, although it is worth mentioning that apart from creating wither skeletons, this is the only other object that the wither creates. All other things destroy them, and yet roses have the ability to inflict the wither effect. A closer analysis of the wither effect shows that this effect is nothing more than accelerated decomposition. This is even more evident when we observe that arrows and potions with the decay effect, descomposition in Spanish, also cause withering. So now, what is the wither exactly? Well, we have already defined what a conglomerate of cursed souls is, and I believe that what gives us a definitive answer to the rest of its mystery is the wither effect. In Minecraft, wither refers to an accelerated death, an extreme death that even affects zombies and skeletons. It is not a traditional death, but a decomposition of all the fibers of the being it affects. The wither is the embodiment of decay. It is essentially death personified in physical form. That's why it's so destructive, and that's why it's made of souls, it's made of dead people. Now there is only one last mystery, which has not so much to do with what the wither is, but with how it was born in the first place. By the way, here I will discuss the history of Minecraft. If you want to understand better, watch the video where I talk about what happened to the original humans in this game. We don't have many clues to define where it came from, but I think we can reach a satisfactory conclusion, at least for now, until a new update comes out with more information. In the red chiseled sandstone blocks that we can locate in the desert temples, we discover an image of the wither. This means that in the distant past, humans knew about the wither. We can add to this that there is a painting that shows the creation of the wither, but this only tells us that humans had seen it and knew how to create it in the near future. Let's remember that the paintings are actually created by Steve or bought from villagers in a few cases. It is not clear if the Wither was created initially, which is possible, or if it manifested on the surface along with all the other monsters that came out of the Nether. But we have the fact that Steve knows how to use the Nether Star to create beacons. This would mean that ancient humans also knew how to use it. I mean, Steve had to get that knowledge from somewhere, and on his side that doesn't suggest that they could have created the first Wither, which is, let's face it, the most logical. This is pure speculation, but there is a possibility that in their quest to utilize materials in the Nether, that is souls, humans would ultimately end up creating a Wither. Instead of making a power source, they made a monster. In the end, they managed to get their power source. The only one that can be used as the heart of the lighthouses, huge constructions used to give various powers to the player, but only after summoning the Wither to Earth. As I tell you, everything is quite nebulous. But the fact is that when you create the Wither in Minecraft, it is not the first time it has been seen, but one of the many times that death itself shows its faces in the world of the living. The last thing I would like to mention is the achievement you receive when killing the Wither, called The Beginning. In the video about the history of humans, we came to the conclusion that it was called that because Steve now had the ability to start civilization again, with the Ender Dragon and the Wither defeated, and his new powers thanks to the beacons. I still believe this is the situation, but after watching today's video, we can see that it has a dual meaning. In addition to being a fresh start for Steve, it is a fresh start for this entire world. 1. Fresh start for the spirits that resided in the Nether prior to their transformation into the Wither boss mob. Now they are finally free. So I hope you liked this video. If you have any mysteries you would like to see solved or something to add to this video, I invite you to comment. And without anything else to say, see you in the next video. Goodbye.